As schools prepare to let out for the summer, districts are now tasked with deciding how to allocate new dollars from the state into teacher salaries. We reached out to several districts in southern Arizona about their plans and got a better sense of the different approaches being considered. A few districts, including Catalina Foothills and Tanque Verde, hadn't decided how to distribute the funding or didn't get back to us in time, while others, like Sahuarita and Altar Valley, said teachers would get raises of at least 10%. Most districts we heard from also plan to offer smaller raises to support staff. Governor Doug Ducey touted this as a 9% raise for educators. The actual figure, though, ultimately comes down to where they teach and how many students attend their school. For a deeper understanding, we turn to Chris Kotterman, Director of Governmental Relations for the Arizona School Boards Association. He joined us from Phoenix. Last week, I spoke with Governor Ducey, and he said there would be consequences for districts that did not follow the spirit of the law. Can you elaborate on what that really means?
Are their hands tied specifically to give money to a certain group of teachers? No, they're not. By law, they can allocate the money as they see fit. However, the legislature did express his intent, the governor expressed his intent. That intent language is in the budget bills. And school districts that do not abide by that intent language would, of course, face a lot of political probably backlash for not doing as the legislature intended, including, perhaps having future allocations directed more specifically by the legislature, which can get administratively burdensome, getting unelected by their communities who feel that that money should go to teachers. I mean, there's a wide range of consequences, but certainly all elected officials, including school board members, should understand the political realities in their communities.
The Auditor General's office can actually track these dollars to ensure that they go where they're supposed to go. Have there been instances in Arizona where a school district has been penalized because the school board decided not to direct those dollars where they were intended to go?
In instances like this, no. I mean, the intent language is there to guide school districts. The money comes in as a lump sum. You can't really differentiate exactly which dollar is for a salary increase versus which dollar was there to begin with in the first place. So where the Auditor General comes in is we agreed as part of the budget process that there should be a reporting requirement on this money. School districts will have to publish what their average teacher salary was this year and what it is next year. And there should be an increase there, and it should be manifestly close to 10%. Or 9% if you get technical about it, for next school year over this school year. And if that's not there, then school districts will face questions about that.
Down here in the Tucson Unified School District, arguably one of the largest in the state of Arizona, the superintendent has already said that it won't necessarily go just directly to teachers. There's an intention to spread those dollars. Is he putting the cart before the horse when he makes that sort of announcement? Because there's a process. He has to communicate with his board. Correct.
I mean, it all depends on what the relationship is between the superintendent and the board, right? I mean, every board and superintendent relationship is a little bit different. Certainly, superintendent is empowered to make whatever statements he or she feels necessary, but it is good practice to have the backing of your governing board before you make those statements. Otherwise, you could end up with a decision that doesn't comport with what it is that you said was going to happen, because ultimately, the governing board, by a majority vote, approves what the budgetary allocation is.
Is it really true that teachers will get a 9% raise this next year? I mean, is that accurate?
The amount of money that was given for teacher pay is really an educated guess as to the number of teachers that are in the state today working and what their salaries are based on data that was submitted last year. So when you say there's enough money for 9%, if you narrowly define it, then there's pretty close to enough money for 9% for every teacher. But if you broaden that definition, as most districts I think want to do because they think it's the fair thing to do, then you start to dilute that money a little bit. But the biggest thing is there's really no way to guarantee from a state level that every teacher or every staff member of any kind receive a certain percentage of raise based on their current salary, because the way the formula works is per student, and you can't put in a uniform per student amount and also make sure that every employee gets exactly a 9% raise, say, on their own salary, because there's a wide range of salary arrangements throughout the state by design.
The Arizona School Boards Association is working very closely then with districts across the state to ensure that teachers get as close to a 9% raise as possible. Is that fair?
Absolutely. I mean, we have distributed information to our members that says, you know, we recommend that you use a definition of teacher that is as encompassing, I think, as it can be, in that a teacher has a teaching certificate and spends 50% or more of their time in the classroom. That was our recommendation. Districts should use the resources given to them to try to get as close to 9% as possible for that population of teachers. We understand that maybe not every district will make it there. The governor's office understands that, but the important thing is that districts make a good faith effort to plow as much resources as humanly possible into teacher pay, because that's what the legislature intended.
Chris Kotterman from the Arizona School Boards Association, thank you so much for your time.